Now, I would like to introduce our speaker today, who has joined us before, and I thoroughly enjoyed his presentation, and so did the folks who were on that meeting as well. So I'd like to welcome back for everyone today, Eric Beschinski from Valparaiso, Indiana, who is going to share a valuable presentation on how to convert a prospect into a customer. So Eric, you have the floor.
All right, let me share my screen here. There we go. And hopefully that is going to be working here momentarily. And then, so I'm going to start with my story a little bit. It's actually long and boring, so I'll give you the short, less boring version. My business has been a brainchild for over 13 years. I had a great job, was working as a sales trainer for a credit card processing company when COVID hit, and they decided to furlough me. So for 3 months, I wasn't going to be working, and decided to take that as an opportunity rather than operate out of fear. And so I wrote a book, got that out, worked on some projects, did some things, and then found out that my job went away altogether. So once again, there was a moment of panic, but then decided again to look at this as an opportunity and build a business that I really wanted to do for, like I said, about 13 years. So that's where I'm at now. It's a little over, about a year into the process of beginning this consultancy business. And so now that's kind of the dry, here we are, how I got here, origin story, whatever. A little bit of a twist happened about 3 months ago. I had a breakthrough in my business that morning. I had been working through some concept to tie all the things I'm trying to do together. I like visuals. I like unity. I like symbolism. So I'd been working on trying to figure this out for several weeks and was struggling with it. Met with a mentor on May 21st. That was the day this all happened. And kind of went back through some notes after talking with him, and started sketching some things out, coming up with some ideas, piecing some things together that I had forgotten I had jotted down before, and really came up with what I felt was the solution. During that exercise and working on that morning, my wife texted me. She has her own business as well, and was working from her shop, and she said, hey, it's a beautiful day out today. If I leave early, you want to go for a motorcycle ride? So I said, absolutely, let's do it. So she came home at lunchtime. I had been working on this all morning. I showed it to her, and her response was, that's it. That's what you've been looking for, and that's going to change your audience. Awesome. Let's go on a motorcycle ride. 7 hours later, I'm on my couch. I have both arms bandaged. My wife had been airlifted to a hospital about 45 minutes to an hour away. She was there at that time. I had people getting food and stuff because I couldn't do anything. My leg was messed up and my arms were messed up. And we had hit a deer on the motorcycle at about 60 miles an hour. No slowing down, no time to react. It jumped out in front of us. We hit it and we're sliding across the asphalt. And fortunately, as odd as it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in a pretty heavily trafficked and populated area. So people stopped immediately, and we had emergency responders on site before the actual emergency responders got there. An ambulance happened to be driving by and stopped, and there was an Army medic who happened to be at the scene. So we were well taken care of, and we actually got out of the experience with fairly minor injuries. And 3 months later, we're pretty much back to about 99% normal. So why do I tell that story? What does that have to do with everything? I come at things from a faith perspective, and even though I'm very logic and rational, and I tend to look at the natural world first, I really felt that there was something about that wasn't an accident. And so I've shared that before. Some people think I'm crazy. That's okay. I'm good with that. But I really feel that we are both on a trajectory with our businesses. We have a calling on our life and on our business, and that we were very protected that day, despite the fact that we were injured. So that's part of my story. And that's, for me, that what I call that day is my personal Pearl Harbor. because instead of destroying me, it actually got me into a war. And so that's kind of how I look at things. That revitalized me and my business. And I'm still working through dealing with the ramifications of the epiphany I had that morning. But so that's a little bit about me and my story and where I'm coming from. And before I jump into the main topic today of the buyer's threshold, I want to give a little bit of background as to why this is important and what this accomplishes. So let's jump in here to what I call the 6 pillars of sales. Sales is a big topic, and there's a lot of things involving sales. And so first of those is process. And what I mean by process is essentially an overriding system that encompasses everything that follows. So the process is one of the 6 pillars. And then the next is philosophy. So philosophy gets into the spirit of the sales process. And then we have a plan. What do I mean by plan? It's how we execute the action we take for a successful sales program. And then there's platform. What I mean by platform is what we're standing on, what we're speaking, and whom we're talking to. So it's to whom we're selling and how do we speak to them. And then pathways. Pathways is, I'm defining that as controllable sales activities. So these are the individual silos of things we must do in order to be successful at sales. And then finally, pulleys. Pulleys are the toolbox. This is the stuff Ryan deals with, because this is the tools and resources that remove obstacles and empower and provide resources. And in combination, they lighten the load of sales. So those are called pulleys. The first 2 are really dealing with brand and identity. The second 2 are dealing with what I would call marketing. So this is conceptual. It's much more about how we communicate and what we're communicating. And then the third section is about sales, which is the direct interaction with prospects and clients. So coming from that perspective, this is all part of a much bigger sales program that I coach and train. But one of the pieces of that is what I call the SciComp, which is your sales integrity compass. And the Be Trusted logo, the Be Trusted seal, is all about this integrity compass, which you can kind of call the core values of sales. So it's a philosophy of sales with integrity. It's about mindset and perspective around sales. It involves these key indicators. It's the foundation for everything else. And so as we jump into this Be Trusted philosophy, obviously, as I said, it's a spirit of sales. Integrity is paramount. It is a foundation for helping people. You can help, you can help by identifying problems. You can help by identifying solutions. You can offer a solution or multiple solutions, but you're only going to do that if it's actually in the customer's best interest. That's selling with integrity. The campfire philosophy, leave it better than when you walked in. Every interaction with a client or prospect should leave them better. You're going to provide value, whether they ever do business with you or not. You're going to offer solution suggestions, whether they ever do business with you or not. And if they choose not to do business with you, part friends. And I believe it's important that we honor people. And I have a very, very specific definition of the word honor that comes from a parenting book that I read many, many years ago. I don't ever remember the title because it's something like how to stop the whining, complaining, and bad attitudes in you and your kids, something along those lines. But they define honor as 3 things: doing more than is expected, treating people as special, and having a good attitude. So we can honor people by treating them as special, having a good attitude towards them, and doing more than they expect of us. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. So let's help people buy. And people do not buy product features or prices. They buy people, they buy emotions, and they buy outcomes. So sales is not a 4-letter word. It is time that we reclaim sales as an honorable profession. And so that's what this is all about. So what is be trusted? It's be truthful, build relationship, bridge understanding, brandish stories, beware timing, balance expectations, and become differentiated. And I'm going to breeze through this because I don't want to take too much time today, but I'm going to go through these really quickly. So being truthful means you underpromise. It means you do what you say you're going to do. Own your mistakes. We're all imperfect. We screw up. We forget things. Own it and apologize and move on and solve it. Admit your weaknesses. I am not an expert in everything. I am not an expert in marketing. I am not an expert in the things that Ryan does. But I know my weaknesses. I know my limitations. And so I focus on the things that are my strengths. Honesty, always, always, always. Don't oversell. Don't promise things you can't deliver. And then be transparent. That's kind of like the summary. So build relationships. We want to be friendly, but we want to be interested, right? If we show interest in other people, that helps build relationship. Curiosity does the same thing. By being curious, asking questions, it helps build relationship. We want to listen. It's not enough to be interested and be curious. We actually have to listen to what they say and incorporate that into the relationship and into the sales process. We want to be excited. Have you ever had somebody on the phone that was trying to sell you something, or you called or whatever, and they're talking like this and you can barely hear them and you can't understand them and they don't sound like they care anything about what they're doing? You don't want that, right? You want to be excited. You want to be energetic. You want to be passionate about what you do. But you also want to be humble. So let your actions speak for you. If I sit here and tell you what a great coach I am, that means nothing to you and it's not very humble. Whereas if I provide valuable content in a session like this and you walk away going, wow, that was really interesting stuff, or a perspective I've never heard before, or whatever, then my actions and my content speaks for me, and I don't need to. We want to be empathetic. We want to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, view things from their perspective. And therefore, we want to build rapport. We want to bridge understanding. So seek first to understand and only then to be understood. And so again, that comes back to asking questions first. Know the client, know the prospect, and then we can share information about us and our services, products. Brandish stories. Weird word, but what I mean by that is use stories as a weapon. Not that we're trying to kill anybody with our sales, but it needs to be that stories are very, very powerful. And we can use illustrative stories to talk about aspects of what we do or success stories about our product. But it's also important that we share our story, because our story helps connect us to people. And it also helps disconnect us from people. There are people who hear my story who then go like, I don't ever want to do business with that guy. That's okay. Because the last thing I want to do is get into a business relationship with somebody who then finds out we're not a good fit. If I can weed out the people who absolutely don't want to do business with me before we enter into a relationship, that's way better. So tell your story. Stories are enjoyable and entertaining. People love stories, a good story. They're collaborative. And what I mean by that is as soon as you start telling a story, people start visualizing. Sometimes they're even putting pictures from their own experience or people that they, in their past, come to mind. And so they weave those things into the story. And so the story becomes partly theirs. That's really, really powerful. It's also much more memorable. It ties into emotions, which we all know is important for sales. And we're able to tell things without telling. So stories are really good at allowing us to tell things about us and about our products and services without listing features or even benefits. And timing. We need to start on time, we need to end on time, and we need to respect their time. Expectations are very, very important as well. We need to set clear expectations for any meeting we're in with a client. Mr. Business Owner, I just want to let you know if this is a good fit when we're done talking after I've learned more about your business and I see a solution for you, I'm going to offer that solution. I'm going to ask for your business. If you answer no, that's okay. We'll part friends. But setting that expectation does a lot of things. One of the things it does is it removes the mystery about what's going to happen, so their defenses can come down. We're going to set clear expectations for our client. Hey, Mr. Business Owner, when you come on board with us, we have a toll-free number. If you have a problem with our service at any time, you call that number 24/7, 365. You'll get a live person on the phone that is trained, equipped, and available to help you with your problem. Because if you try calling me, I'm on sales calls all the time. I may not be able to get to you as quickly. You set those expectations ahead of time, and you eliminate problems down the road. And set expectations for yourself, what they can expect from you. Unmet expectations create conflict. And finally, become differentiated. So you need to be unique. You need to get their attention, pique their interest, separate yourself from your competition, and and this is infinitely valuable. It's priceless, because this is what nobody else is. You alone can do whatever this is. Another piece of this whole puzzle, and it gets to this is where we're getting to the buyer threshold a little bit, is the PSI map, which is your sales identity map. This is your higher purpose for sales, for your sales. So this is going to filter all your decision making and change. This is going to demand a vision and goals for your sales, and it should be supported by everything you do in your sales. Bottom line is, you want to help people buy for a purpose. So what does that look like? This is the buyer's threshold. So you've got this red line here, and everything you're trying to do as a salesperson is trying to push up towards that red line. And so you have experience, you have value, and you have relationship. Relationship is at the bottom. It's kind of the foundational element here. We've already talked about the importance of building a relationship. It is foundational. It's human to human. So bottom line is, people like to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And so the relationship can sometimes be enough to sell the deal, right? There are other people you work with that you only work with them because you know them, like them, or trust them. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's somebody who's done a good job for you in the past, whatever. And regardless of their price, unless it's ridiculous, and regardless if there's a better product or service, as long as they're not bad at it, right? You're going to use them no matter what. That's relationship. The second tier in here is value. And this is financial, numeric, not necessarily money, but it can be. Not price. Can't emphasize that enough. This is not price. Price is related. It is not price. Am I getting something worth as much or more than I'm giving up? That can be time. That can be frustration. That can be all kinds of things. But am I getting something worth as much or more than what I'm giving up? That's value. And finally, there's experience. This is where you look at the ease or the pleasantness of the transaction itself, the emotions and the intangibles surrounding that sales process or the purchase. So how do they feel about buying this? How enjoyable was the entire process, or the delivery of the product, or the experience of the coaching that you hired? How enjoyable was it? How badly do they want what you're offering? All of that goes into the experience. And so what happens is, we have these three things that together, what I find a lot of times is people talk about value all the time, and that they think that as long as your value's there, then you're going to sell enough. That's not always the case. It's really a combination of these three things. Sometimes one of these is enough to push you through the barrier. So in this example, the value is there. Maybe there's no relationship or very little relationship. It's an e-commerce situation. Maybe you have no real emotional experience. So for the example I give is, there was one time I had a coaching, somebody had an ad for a coaching session. It was a $10 1 hour or whatever. I don't know the guy, so I don't know him. I don't have a relationship with him. I don't know that I can trust him, right? I don't know how good his stuff is. And I don't really have an emotional experience here. And there's nothing about that it was really all in the value for me. It's like, I can get something out of this $10 training program, no matter how good or bad it is. I'll find some nugget that's worth $10. So their price does play a role. But maybe, the example I use here is mutual fund. That's something that value is really, really key in. You can see that at the bottom. So mutual funds are an example, a more generic example. This one, the relationship, maybe it's friend or family. So we've got a realtor that I'm going to use him no matter what, because he has done so well for us in the past, and he's a good guy, and I believe with what he believes. And so I don't care that there are other realtors around. He's our realtor. He's our guy. So that's where a relationship comes into play. And then experience, right? So Apple might be a good example of that. Coming back to my coaching example, this guy, I bought his program for $10. There was another guy that I didn't buy his program, and I won't, because my relationship, I found he didn't really follow through with what he said he was going to do. So there's no trust there. Another guy offered a coaching program, and it was really, really expensive. And I'm like, I just don't know that I see the value in that for that dollar amount. He later offered a lower dollar amount program that offered some of what that did, not all of it, but some of it. I'm like, that one I'll pull the trigger on. So price played a factor, but it was also, I didn't know him personally, but I liked and trusted what I saw from this guy. And the experience, yes, I think I need this. Yes, I'm excited to buy this. I think it's going to help my business. So there's all three combined. That's the point here, is that all three of these factors combine to break that buyer threshold. So we need to focus on all three. We need to have valuable product and service. We need to focus on building rapport and relationship with people. And then we also need to make sure that we're tailoring everything, our messaging, to reach their hit their emotional triggers, as well as ensuring that their experience is a good one. So that's really the buyer's threshold, and some background information leading up to it. More often than not, it's a combination of the three. Yes, there are exceptions, but usually and we never know which one's going to push us through that threshold. So we need to be working on all three all the time. Any questions?
Yeah, Eric, I have one for you. What is your opinion of cold calling your prospects to start that initial relationship with them?
Often it's essential. There are a lot of different ways to do that. There are some ways that you can turn a cold call into a much warmer call. It really varies based on industry, product, service that you're selling. But I call it outreach. It's essential. And because so many, again, those relationships, right? Especially if it's a relationship-based product or service like mine. I'm a business consultant, and so in order for somebody to know, like, and trust me, there's got to be some history. I'm not going to cold call somebody, in Indianapolis, say, hey, I'm a business consultant, want to hire me, and they're never going to say yes, right? They need to see something from me. They need to get to know me a little bit. So there's a place for cold calling, absolutely. I think there are better ways of doing it. So one of the things I saw recently that I've been really intrigued by is a little script that you call somebody. Obviously, I always recommend you do your research first. So know who you're calling as much as you can before you call them. Once you do that, so I call, Ryan. Hey, Ryan, this is Eric Beschinski with Greenfire Innovations. I'm right here in Valparaiso, Indiana. We haven't met before, but this is absolutely a cold call. So if you don't want to talk to me, I totally understand. You can hang up. But if you'll give me a shot, I just want to share with you what I did. I think that's genius because I didn't come up with it, but it gets that out of the way. The person who did this said that they did this, 100 times or whatever, and every single one of them laughed and gave him a shot. So there are different ways of doing that. What I hate are the robocalls, number one. Number two, I don't know, you all have websites probably. I get called several times a week from web developers. I can't stand that because there's nothing. All they did was get my name off of a list. And that's, to me, that is bad marketing. The other thing I see happen a lot on LinkedIn is people reach out to me because I have an insurance license, and I don't really push it and I don't talk about it, but there is some information about that on my LinkedIn profile. And they're like, oh, I saw your LinkedIn profile and we have this great insurance product, or we want you to come sell for us or whatever. Like, if you actually looked at my profile, you would know that is not a focus of what I'm doing. So why are you reaching out to me? And so I ignore those because they're not sincere. And that's really important, is to be sincere with your cold calls as well.
Thank you, Eric. That was a great answer.
It was long, sorry.
Sometimes long is good.
Any other questions?
So I have a company that I'm interested in maybe telling you about. They are also a faith-driven, small family-owned company, a local company in Mooresville. What was my question? How would you present to them? Would you just would it be something similar to this if you phoned them up based on my referral? Would it be, hey, do you need help converting customers or prospects to customers? I mean,
well, this is one of the things I do is this sales methodology, but it's not my primary focus. My passion, where I really want to help people, is especially the faith-driven entrepreneurs, is this idea that they have a calling on their life and on their business, and maybe they don't know what that is. Maybe they know, or they're beginning to realize what it is, but they don't know how. They've run this business and they've kind of separated their business from their spiritual life, and now they're realizing that they shouldn't operate that way. And well, how the heck do we tie this stuff back in? And so I walk them through a process called the iNautilus. Everything's Nautilus themed in my business. It's just a vehicle I determined years ago that works really well. But the iNautilus is the Integrity Nautilus, and it's all about how do you strategically plan for your organization to get from where you are right now to where you want it to be in 5, 7, 10 years, all the way down to the detail of what do I really need to be working on today in order to get to that ideal destination. And so that's really my focus. Yes, I will do sales training and coaching. Yes, I do leadership training and coaching, but all of that is really designed to get people to realize the importance of that iNautilus program, so that they then go through that, because I think that's very transformational for every business.
Okay.
And so, no, I wouldn't go through a presentation like this to answer your question. I do a 30-minute strategy session for free. And I would get on the call with them, ask them some questions, find out what might be a good fit, and then offer solutions. And I also try to offer value in that. So I don't make it just a sales call. I offer suggestions and help and things during that session. Whatever I can do for them in that time, I do for them. Again, the idea is, oh, wow, that was helpful. We need more of this guy. That's what I try to do.
Okay, I think I have a referral for you. How would you like for me to give that to you? Just email
You
it
just
to
email
you?
me. Email me. It would be great. Yeah. It's Eric at greenfireinnovations.com.
I got you. Well,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it in the chat? Yeah, it's there. Okay. Any other questions?
Eric, I think you left everyone speechless.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I'm not sure that's speechless or bored. It's one of you. I don't know.
Well, everyone, unless there are other questions for Eric, let's give him a hand for his presentation today.
Thank you.